1310 WIVA and Ask the Experts, brought to you by Wisconsin Capital Management, online, wizcap.com. That's WISCAP.com. I hope you've had a chance to check out the website. If you haven't been there yet or haven't been there recently, head on over, wizcap.com. That's WISCAP.com. You can learn more about Wisconsin Capital Management. There's also an opportunity right on that main page to start a conversation, ask a question right online at wizcap.com. That's WISCAP.com. Joining us this morning are Tom and Nathan Plum with Wisconsin Capital Management. Tom is a chartered financial analyst. Nathan is a certified trust financial advisor with executive MBA. Tom, how you doing this morning?
Oh, we're doing very good. This is November 24th, and we just had a great Wisconsin football weekend with the Badgers winning against the Illini and the Packers, of course, making some of our friends up in Minnesota suffer.
It's always good when you can make your two neighbors uncomfortable and, make them suffer a little bit for sure. Nathan, how are you doing this morning?
Yeah, doing wonderful. Yeah, I was actually at the Badger game, and what a great experience. And the students rushed out on the field, and things are going well.
Yeah, what's that like to see in person? I've obviously seen photos, but I've never actually seen that happen in person. How was that like on Saturday?
We could just feel the energy. You could kind of see the student section kind of moving down the stands, kind of positioning themselves, and then they. I remember in the 90s, there was an incident where actually I think someone became paralyzed because they suffocated, but they changed the engineers, changed that around, and now you can just essentially kind of go down the stairs and go on that thing. The security guards are pretty well trained, and they just kind of let you do that. So you just want to make sure that no one gets hurt and no one gets trampled. And then you just want to make sure that the opposing players and staff can get off safely. So it was really exciting, a lot of energy, and it was a very proud day to be a Badger.
It was a great day, that is for sure, and they really do a nice job handling things at Camp Randall. And we think about things, locally, sense of pride here in southern Wisconsin, state of Wisconsin. Obviously, the Badgers are a big one. Another big sense of pride, I think, for a lot of folks is Exact Sciences, and we are actually going to talk about what's going on with Exact Sciences. Their Exact Sciences being acquired by Abbott Labs for a pretty significant amount of money. And Nate, let's talk a little bit about this acquisition and this obviously, for a number of reasons, literally hits very close to home, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just a local success story here. So the CEO and founding CEO is Kevin Conroy. He came out of a company that was liquidated called Third Wave. He started this with a few partners, with some scientists and some finance people, and grew it. And the exciting news that it's getting acquired by Abbott Labs for $23 billion. And it's actually a publicly traded stock, so it's going to get bought out at $105 a share in cash.
It's pretty significant. Then when we look at some of that stuff too, I know obviously when it comes to Exact Sciences, I'm going to get that right, and I know it back of my hand. I always want to say scientists, but Exact Sciences, we've got obviously a lot of people that work there that listen to the program, and Nathan, I know that is one of those areas, and those are some people that, as we talk about sometimes changes with stocks and other investments and other type of planning, those are the type of people you really want to talk to, aren't they?
Yeah, we have both friends and clients that work at Exact Sciences, and it's a very large employer in the area, so I'm sure a lot of people do. We got feedback that they had a Zoom meeting on Thursday to talk about the acquisition, and they summed up it was essentially wait until the second quarter of next year, and we'll give you more information. So my dad and I thought we could be a little bit more helpful and with this show right here.
Yes, give us some guidance and some answers, which we're really looking forward to as we talk this morning with Nathan and Tom Plum. Of course, they come to us from Wisconsin Capital Management, online, wizcap.com. That's WISCAP.com. So let's start out with kind of what this acquisition, what does it tangibly mean?
Yeah, so Abbott Labs is actually fairly close to us. They're in Abbott Park, Illinois. Abbott Labs is such a big company they have their own zip code, but essentially it's a little bit in northern Chicago suburbs, kind of between Lake Forest and Waukegan. So the company that has three main divisions, it has a diagnostic division, has a medical device division, and then it has some consumer brands that you probably heard of. So those supplements for infants called Similac, more elderly people, and Sure. And then, of course, you have kids and probably teenagers, Pedialyte. So the electrolyte drink is pretty popular. Exact Sciences is going to be part of the diagnostics division of Abbott Labs.
So what happens then when it comes to things like employees, like their benefits and those type of systems? What are some of the details on that?
Yeah, traditionally the larger employer, so the Abbott Labs, which is going to buy Exact Sciences, eventually those systems will turn over to their systems, their HR, their retirement. So, but that will going to take a lot of time. These large deals take a while to close. So usually, if you're buying another publicly traded company or another company, you can kind of estimate it takes between like 6 to 18 months. And in this particular case, the closing date is June 30th of 2026. And so that's essentially why Exact Sciences said we have to wait until the second quarter of next year to tell you things.
Really great guidance this morning as we talk with Nathan and Tom Plum from Wisconsin Capital Management online, wizcap.com. That's WISCAP.com. Talking about the recent acquisition of Exact Sciences by Abbott and what that means. And let's talk then and get into some of the impact then that this merger will have on things like salaries, of course, benefit packages, health plans. Obviously, when one company is being absorbed by another or becoming brought into another, there's going to be some changes there as well, aren't there?
Yeah, traditionally, the larger the company, in recent kind of employment, is that they really like you to work at the office. And so Exact Sciences is probably a little bit more liberal with some more work at home jobs. When you get to acquired by a larger company, they trend in HR that they really want you to work at the office and bring the team. So that definitely could affect some people. So, and then, luckily that Abbott Labs doesn't have a similar thing in their product portfolio. So I would really doubt that mass layoffs would happen that as they try to uh, get the thing more efficiently and try to integrate it into labs. So I wouldn't expect that just because Abbott Labs doesn't have uh, a cancer diagnostics division. They have a division that detects your DNA and things like that. But yeah, if you're in sales, that's kind of the first thing that usually these mergers they kind of make sure they look closely. So you got to make sure that you're performing. You should be okay. If you're average, or sometimes they have these different goals, different incentives, and usually kind of attacks these salespeople the most. So usually you're the most affected there. So yeah, you'll become a part of the division. So your HR plan, your retirement plan, your retirement benefits, payroll will all switch over to Abbott's systems. And the key thing is that you just have to really kind of track this. This is helpful for us to go over it. But if the culture, or if you can't work remotely as well, that sometimes you're going to get you might want to choose to work somewhere else because your options have been fully vested. So you get cash on around June 30th after that PAM plays out, and then and then if you own the bonds, they'll be trading close to par as well. So I should mention that too. The $1.8 million that Exact Sciences debt will become Abbott's debt as well.
Well, really fascinating stuff this morning as we talk with Nathan and Tom Plum, of course, of Wisconsin Capital Management. Really timely information this morning. If these are the type of things you've had questions about, maybe you could be personally affected by the changes at Exact Sciences. A great day to learn more about Wisconsin Capital Management and, of course, make that first contact. If you head on over to wizcap.com, that's WISCAP.com, you can start that conversation, make it real easy to do right online. No pressure conversation. Again, you can start that chat at wizcap.com. That's WISCAP.com. And Tom, I think about things like this, and as we kind of as Nathan was explaining, it seems like a really nice fit between the two companies. Very little significant overlap, but it is a reminder that as things change, plans can change. It's always important to have a backup plan in place for yourself. Things like emergency funds and other things, it's an important time right now to be thinking about those. It's a kind of an important reminder to have that emergency fund in place, isn't it?
Well, there's two things, Sean.
Hmm.
Sean, one is, that the people who are directly impacted by this exact sciences, as Nathan said, they'll learn more about their PTO policy, the HR policies, vacation, retirement plans as they change. It means that the plans that they have had will be changed. They
Hmm.
typically are not going to be held separate. And a company like Abbott doesn't have extremely different policies between their different divisions. They want to make sure that people are treated the same and that there's not an issue between divisions. But the other thing that does come to mind is that this is going to be an all cash transaction, which means that there's going to be significant capital gains for people who hold these shares in their personal accounts. Now, if they're in your IRA or your retirement plan, that's a whole different thing because they are not taxed by the transaction. But if this does settle by June 30th, for example, which they're shooting for, that means that there's going to be some real tax considerations for people who own these shares. As what we're seeing right now with a lot of our clients, where the stock market hits an all-time high, there is a lot of people who have significant unrealized capital gains, and they may have a triggering event that they want just to diversify their portfolio, or they may be forced into a triggering event like Exact Sciences, where now, no matter what they would prefer doing to defer their capital gains, they're not going to have a choice. And so having a strategy about how to address that, what your tax implications are, that's going to be very, very important for the shareholders of Exact Sciences. But we also see that it's an overlap with our clients that own certain stocks that maybe are up 1,600% in the last 5 years.
Really great context and, of course, information this morning as we talk with Tom and Nathan Plum from Wisconsin Capital Management. Online, wiscap.com. That's WISCAP.com. Great day to start that conversation. They make it real easy to do at Wisconsin Capital Management. You can start that no-pressure conversation right online, wiscap.com. That's WISCAP.com. Talk with Tom and Nate a little bit more about things like your 401k or stock options, what happens with all of that stuff. We'll get the details from Tom and Nate. We will do that next as Ask the Experts with Wisconsin Capital Management continues right here on 1310 WIBA. WIBA and Ask the Experts, talking this morning with Tom and Nathan Plum from Wisconsin Capital Management. Tom Plum is a chartered financial analyst. Nathan Plum is a certified trust financial advisor with an executive MBA. Talking this morning about the acquisition of Exact Sciences by Abbott Labs and what that means. And a lot of folks, of course, wonder about their 401ks, what happens with those 401ks, and what do folks need to know when it comes to the different options out there, Nate? What are some of the things that should probably be on folks' radar at this time?
Yeah, so what Abbott Lab will eventually do is anyone that's in a 401k plan at Exact Sciences, which has been, they're a good provider, a good employer, and have great 401k plan. They're going to say that, give you some options. One is like, do you want to roll your 401k into Abbott's plan, right? That'll be one choice that you have. So then essentially Exact's plan will become Abbott's plan. And it's also, Abbott has a good company, and usually these large companies have very nice retirement packages. The second thing you do, and probably the smartest thing you could do, is once they ask you to roll the money out, you can roll it over into what's called a rollover IRA. So that way you get to choose a financial advisor, or you could do it yourself, that you could roll it into an IRA. And that way you can choose all the investment choices that are available in the investment universe. In the 401k, they're often very restricted to what they have. And so if you're just in like a target date fund at Exact Sciences, it might be time to look at something else and have a professional look at that, and see if we could, one, hopefully get your fees down, and two, hopefully get you a little some better investment choices. So there's thousands out there.
You know, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, as you talk about some of this stuff too, is some of it has to do with kind of what your strategy is kind of what your personal next steps are as well. I'm going to guess. Do you plan on staying with the new company, or do you plan on looking for new work? I think some of that also may affect some of your planning, or am I off on that, Nate?
This one, everyone will have this choice. So the exact plan will go away. So if you do nothing, they'll try to force you out. And if you only have a little money to plan, like in $5,000 or something like that, they might actually send you a check. And those actually people need to be very concerned, because you only have 60 days to put that into an IRA. So yeah, don't buy anything with that. Just make sure that you talk to someone like us. So we want to make sure that no one falls through the cracks here locally, because we care about everybody.
Really good alert and perspective for sure. Talking this morning with Nathan and Tom Plum of Wisconsin Capital Management, online, wiscap.com. That's WISCAP.com. So what about stock options, RSUs, ESPPs? What do we need to get into on those, and what should folks be aware of in those situations?
Yeah, when you work for a publicly traded company, it's very common to have something called an RSU, which stands for a restricted stock unit. And then there's another term that you might run for is a ESPP, or an employer or sponsor stock purchase plan. So employees can, the second one, the ESPP, you can actually buy company stock at a discount to the market value. So in Exact Sciences case, that was 15%, but it's usually common between 5 and 15%. You can get that stock there. So jumping back to RSUs, so usually the company kind of wants you to stay around, and if the company is successful, that you both get to benefit. So that's why people have what's called restricted stock units, and it's usually from when you're employed. It also depends on your position, but those restricted stock units, since this is an all cash deal, will get fully taxed on September 30th, or once it closed. So you can expect, and those stock options, remember, are W-2 income. So they're like a bonus or your wage. And so if you have a lot of these RSUs at Exact Sciences, you could have kind of a ticking tax bomb in front of you. So it's important to get in front of people like us, your accountant, just to say, hey, what are some strategies I could do to hopefully mitigate this in the future? So because you might want to take some money this year, so you won't have a big tax bill next year, for example.
Planning so important with all of this stuff, as we're talking this morning, for folks that are affected, whether directly or indirectly, by the recent acquisition of Exact Sciences, or the ongoing acquisition of Exact Sciences by Abbott, and obviously, anytime there's change in the corporate world or in any business world, there can be changes in employment. And I know sometimes folks are unfortunately part of the cycle let go, and sometimes they're offered a severance. Are there things that people need to be aware of if they are offered some type of cash severance or some type of other type of compensation on their exit? What's kind of the thinking there, and what should people be looking out for?
Okay. Well, it doesn't have to be quite enough. Some of these Exact Science people are very good workers, and I'm sure other companies will love to poach them. So it's not the worst case scenario either. But to back your question, so so they're going to give you what's called a severance package. So HR will contact you. They get this really long booklet that's hard and confusing. I recommend talking to someone like us. We've seen these before, go through them often, and we can give you some good advice there. The key thing also is healthcare changes, right? So you had your different healthcare options at Exact Sciences. So you had a range of plans that you could have. If you join Abbott Labs, they had their own plan. But if you end up leaving, you have to make a decision, right? So either if you're going to work by yourself, or you have to kind of set up your own healthcare plan. And then also, if you are given a severance program, the government covers you for a while, and it has a strange name called COBRA. That's spelled COBRA. And so the government pays for your health insurance for a short amount of time, but traditionally that is very expensive. So usually you want to try to find your own health insurance, or jump on another company's health insurance right away. So that's a key thing. Thirdly, the 401k rollover, right? It's usually best to roll that over to a rollover IRA, pick your investment choices, and that will cater to your specific needs. So how old you are, what's your risk tolerance, etc. So a lot of things we look like at that. And then, what to do with your stock payout. If you had those restricted stock units, they'll be fully vested on June 30th of 2026. Again, that's W-2 income. So that could be, if you try to avoid jumping a tax bracket, we could hopefully help you out there. And, do just, in general, just help with your taxes. Just make sure you're doing things efficiently. Like, might be a great time to go into Roth or add to your kids' 529 plan. So we're all encompassing. And essentially, that's the kind of process we would take you through here.
I think for a lot of folks, as we talk about this stuff, it's a time where you definitely want to be very much engaged. You want to have a good partner on your side as well. And it's a great day to start that relationship. I know Tom and Nathan would love to get to know you. If you head on over to the website, wizcap.com, that's WISCAP.com. You can start a no-pressure conversation right online, right on the website. There's a chat bubble there. You can start that conversation right at wizcap.com. That's WISCAP.com. And before we wrap up this week, just kind of, I know one of the things we like to do is kind of get an overview of this week's conversation. Any final advice for folks for Exact Sciences, for their employees, things that they should be thinking about right now?
I think that it's a great acquisition. I think it makes sense. It really helps to have a acquire that's based in the Midwest, because usually those Midwestern ethics kind of go through. But we'll be a bigger company. Exact Sciences is a big company in Madison. Abbott's there, and it's you should congratulate yourself. You did a great job, and they'll still probably wanting to keep doing a great job. Abbott Resources has a big international reach, so there's huge. That's probably one of the reasons they bought Exact Sciences, to extend their global reach. So there could be a lot of opportunities. It's a very exciting time for Exact Sciences. So we just want to make sure that you're kind of going with open eyes, and make sure you're not surprised.
And I love that you point out that these are opportunities, and it's a great day to be taking advantage of opportunities. Anytime that there's change in your life, there's a chance to make things better. And it's a great day as we talk about improving your overall position. Great day to start that conversation, working with a great team and great partners with the folks at Wisconsin Capital Management. If you haven't been to the website yet, urge you to head on over there, wizcap.com. That's WISCAP.com. You can learn more about Wisconsin Capital Management. You can also start a no-pressure conversation right online. That's wizcap.com. That's WISCAP.com. Nate, Tom, it was great chatting with both of you guys this week. You enjoy this beautiful day, and we'll do it all again real soon.
Wonderful. Take care, Sean.
See you guys.
Take care, Tom.
See you, Tom. See you, Nate. And of course, we've got news next here on 1310 WIBA.